can I share more about my parenting plan and ramifications and ideas? Of course. So I actually have my parenting plan pulled up here so that we can go over it. These are things that we mutually decided upon during mediation. So these things were mutually agreed upon things. A lot of the things he proposed, a lot of things I proposed, we came to a mutual understanding. So the first thing is that we promote mutual respect. I don't talk shit about him in front of our kid. I hope he doesn't talk shit about me in front of our kid. There's no real enforceable way to like prevent that, but it's just something that we try to have. Information sharing, making sure that both of us have access to medical records, education, anything like that. We both have to have equal access to those things. One thing that I noticed while reading this to you was that I noticed that I have to update the court that I got a new phone number. So had my lawyer do that for me. One thing that we also did was that neither parent will permit the child to get a tattoo, piercing, or other body modification without the written expression of both parents. Neither parent shall introduce the minor child to a paramour until they've been dating for at least 4 months. And prior to the introduction to the child to the paramour, we must provide an opportunity to the other parent to meet the paramour, which I've met his girlfriend, he has met my boyfriend. Both circumstances were drastically different. We have shared parental responsibility, which means that each parent can make decisions in the day-to-day, but let's say that we had instances in which that my son was hurt in his care and I was not notified of the injury for 24 hours. In here it says that he needs to have told me within a reasonable time, but I think I would have wished that I had established what a reasonable time would have been. Maybe we should have been more distinct. Like, you have to let me know within 2 hours. I was notified 24 hours that our son had I think it's a 2nd-degree burn. Like, it was pretty bad. Didn't go to the ER, by the way, which with burns, you're supposed to go to the ER, but that didn't happen. And again, things that come up that you don't think of would need to would need to be in writing, something to consider. We have equal decisions on education and academics, non-emergency healthcare, and religion and training. I can't stop him from taking our son to church. However, I can have conversations about church in my home that are reflective of my views and my feelings. And there's nothing he can say about that. There's nothing I can say about that. 2 households, 2 different belief systems, and that's okay. Extracurricular activities. So the party shall divide the cost of any mutually agreed upon extracurricular activities pro rata, with the husband paying 40% and the wife paying 60%. Neither party shall unreasonably withhold agreement for an extracurricular activity. I wish that I would have put a little bit more into this. So our son needed tutoring. He made the decision that he couldn't afford to help with tutoring, even though it was a necessity. All I asked for was 40%. He couldn't even do that. So I ended up taking the brunt of the cost on myself. Apparently the tutoring falls under extracurriculars, and underneath here, it says, if the parents cannot mutually agree upon the activity, either parent may register the child and allow them to participate in the activity when the child is with that parent. So he did tutoring on my time. So, the purpose of extracurricular activities is not to infringe upon the time either parent has to spend with the child. So yeah, if I were to sign him up for something and my ex-husband didn't agree upon it, it would only have to take place on my time, and I couldn't force him to take him to some place that he did not want to agree. Like, I really want to enroll our son into art classes on Wednesdays with one of his friends. However, I don't think that he would be able to get out of work to do that. So it's just not something that would be mutually be possible without me basically taking on the brunt of the back and forth, et cetera, et cetera. We talk about schedule changes, that a parent making a request for a schedule change will make the request as soon as possible, but in any event, not less than 24 hours. So if there was an instance in which that one of us could not, or like a planned instance where one of us could not take the child on that day, we would have to give each other a 24-hour notice. I'm actually really good about this. I noticed on our calendar that there is a block of time in March in which that he gets our son 3 weekends in a row. that is against the rules in our parenting plan. So I brought it up yesterday because I wanted to make sure that it was addressed ahead of time. Reasonable accommodations. The child has the right to spend considerable time with both parties. Each party shall exercise the utmost good faith and shall consent to all reasonable requests by the other party regarding changes and accommodations of time sharing schedule. So for example, like some of my friends, they have birthday parties for their child. I offer to take him because they're my friend. He can still take them to the birthday party if he so chooses to, but we do that. We do a 2-2-3 custody schedule. So for example, I get him Monday, Tuesday, he gets him Wednesday, Thursday, then I get him Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then it would subsequently go, and then he has him Monday, Tuesday, I have him Wednesday, Thursday, and then he would have him Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We also have a division of holidays in this document, in which that we have it separated through odd and even years. No matter what, I always spend Mother's Day with him. He always spends Father's Day with me. We flip-flop Christmas breaks. We flip-flop spring breaks. One of the other things too is like, for example, this weekend is a 3-day weekend. So I have him this weekend. So that means I naturally will get him on Monday. And then the exchange will take place on Tuesday. So he'll get him Tuesday and then I'll get him back on Wednesday. It unfortunately works out like that sometimes. It is what it is. So like, then this is how it's worded. If there is a 3-day weekend observed by the school of the child which is not provided in the holiday schedule above, then the parent who would normally have that weekend shall be entitled to the extra day as part of his or her weekend. So that's something in there. Oh, and then let's talk about the 3 weekends in a row. When the parents are using an alternating weekend plan and the holiday schedule would result in one parent having the child for 3 weekends in a row, the parents will exchange the following weekend so that each has 2 weekends in a row before the regular alternating weekend pattern resumes. So we kind of have that. There's even like more distinctions as far as like spring break and summer break and Christmas break in here. And if you guys want more details about that, I can provide that. Usually we exchange during school. So like I will drop him off in the morning at the school or the school bus. He will pick him up in the afternoon from the school bus. If there is an event like Christmas break where we do have to do a mutual exchange in person, we decided on a spot that's 50% between the two of us to meet to do this exchange. I did not like doing exchanges through the houses, like me dropping him off over there, him dropping off. I don't want that. I don't want that. A big issue that we had during our divorce process was international travel. My dad and my stepmom, they live intercontinentally. So they have a house in London. They have a house in California. They invited us to their house in London. Logan and I, they bought our plane ticket, everything. He was giving me grief about international travel. So I made sure it was very, very, very clear in our divorce documents that we are allowed to do international travel on our time. So if we want to go to London, we're allowed to go to London. If we want to go to Dubai, we're allowed to go to Dubai. If we want to go to Tokyo, we can go to Tokyo. However, there are parameters, right? So either parent may travel with the child during his or her time. The parent traveling with the child shall give the other parent at least 7 days written notice before traveling out of state, unless there is an emergency. And they have to provide a detailed itinerary, locations and phone numbers where the child and parent will be reached at least 3 days before traveling. The other thing is like either parent may travel outside of the country with the child during his or her time. At least 30 days prior to traveling, the parent shall provide a detailed itinerary, including locations, telephone numbers, where the child and the parent may be reached during the trip. Each parent agrees to provide whatever documentation necessary for the other parent to take the child out of the country. So passports, things like that. We also have discussions about school zoning, etc. I am going to do another video because this one is already almost 10 minutes long. But I hope this helps. I will do a part 2 immediately after this with the rest of the parenting plan.